Well, staying in Rivers State, the Rivers State chapter of the All Progressives Congress has called for a state of emergency to be declared in the state. Well, at a press briefing, Caretaker Committee Chairman Tony Okocha said that the state is at war and the APC is not a part of the war. He said that that crime and unrest have returned to the state following the governor's refusal to conduct local government elections.
Chairman, so to speak, as far as we are concerned, illegal council chairman, because again, who screened them? 3 assembly members. When the Supreme Court had made a decision on that matter somewhere, some time ago, when it concerns a governor, in Plateau State, Supreme Court said, what one thought is, it's not about the people who are sitting, it's about the majority of members of the assembly. What we have in this state today is a situation where we have 3 assembly members. One is speaker, the other one is deputy speaker. Maybe the other one is majority leader, because there must be a majority leader to sponsor bills of government. That's what we have. Isn't that illegality? You can see that the man is thriving in illegality. So we are in trouble in the state. We are in a state of war. And because the governor is unteachable, and because the governor does not listen to counsel, even the counsel of Mr. President, APC Rivers State that I represent today is demanding for a state of emergency in Rivers State. It is the way out so that you and I will live in peace.
Arise analyst and lawyer Dr. Amadi joins me now for more on this on Newsnight. Thank you so much for joining us. Well, we're still keeping an eye on developments in Rivers State, and so many questions, very straightforward questions as to, number one, can 3 members of the House, the State House of Assembly in Rivers State, form a quorum based on the constitutional provisions? Well,
of course, the issue is that they can't form a quorum, basically. Section 96 provides clearly that if you have less than the quorum, which is prescribed,
right,
it can't be 3. It's 2/3 of people, members available. You count it, and they're not available. Then you have to adjourn sitting. Although the House of Assembly has the powers, under the law to make its self-regulate itself, that's the parliamentary prerogative. In which case, the court won't even stop them, but they can't invalidate laws, actions made without a quorum. Now, the idea here is very simple. I mean, like he pointed out, obviously 3 does not constitute 1/3 or 2/3 of members available. Again,
availability.
Yes, no, members of membership.
Membership, not availability, because you've used that
during
twice.
Voting,
right,
the majority, simple majority that the law requires is those who are available to vote. So, but you have to cross the threshold of quorum to constitute a valid house. But when you are now doing voting for purpose of lawmaking or other parliamentary services or functions like confirmation and all that, then it's now based on those available as at the time the vote is called.
Right.
Now, if you step back again, the question then is, what should have been done differently? I mean, I like to look at the counterfactual. So, assuming the governor who had been saying that the tenure has ended, irrespective of, quote unquote, the law amending or extending tenure, had indicated election within this period, maybe election would have held. Again, what's the constitutional validity of the interim arrangement, those who are appointed now? Obviously, I mean, the constitution is very clear. Every local government, properly so-called, must underline, be democratically elected. I have argued over 4 or 5 years ago,
right,
there was Attorney General of the Federation. I would ask the President to impound the allocations to local government not democratically elected. Somebody has argued. I said, what's the difference between this and what Tinubu did in Lagos? The difference here is
in setting up the additional
yes, the
20
difference,
or so.
Yeah, the difference is that the Operation impounding of their revenue affected democratically existing local governments. Tinubu's extra were incoherent, as the Supreme Court said. He needed parliamentary rectification to be part of it. But Obasanjo seized the allocation for the local governments. So that was unconstitutional. But seizing allocation for undemocratic local governments, it would have been is proper. So the case is still in court, let's see how it goes. But the key point here is you cannot have interim run the local government. But you can argue that in this extraordinary moment where the incumbent's time has expired, political intrigues and conflicts does not just allow for election. Maybe they have limited mandate to supervise until election is conducted. That could be some kind of justification or necessity. But essentially, the governor should know that this is an illegal act.
I'm glad you mentioned the fact of whether an election can actually hold, considering the prevailing circumstances in Rivers State presently.
So that could...
Is that a strong enough reason for the governor to go ahead to swear in this caretaker committee that the Constitution does not, give him powers to?
First, if they take caretaker, then it should be very clear that they're not exercising the powers of a democratically elected chairman. That's number one. Number two, maybe they'll be in a status where they are not going to spend the funds of the commission. I mean, you could create the argument that this is not envisaged by the Constitution. This is just like the doctrine of necessity. This is just a doctrine of necessity. We have to do something in the interim. Even though we had failures, this could have been done earlier. I mean, if the governor set up process for election while awaiting this expiration, then it could be different. But you can argue and say, once this is a special circumstance, they are caretaker, they are not going to exercise executive power over this. They have a clear mandate to be here, keep things until election happens. And the election timetable is rolled out quickly. Now, that could be a extenuating circumstance, mitigating the illegality. But a brazen appointment of interim to run the assembly, I mean, would constitute perhaps even more grievous violation than even the extension, which is unconstitutional, by the way. So I think we have to move from one unconstitutional behavior to another. And that brings to the issue around declaration of
emergency. Yeah, there are calls. I mean, the APC arm in Rivers State is calling for a state of emergency to be declared. Should that be the case now? I mean, the situation going on in Rivers State, are they strong enough, for a state of emergency to be declared? And what would be the implications of that?
First, I think it's both mischievous and almost silly to say
on the part of the those calling
mischievous and almost silly. For two reasons. If you look at section 305, it says a state of emergency may be declared where there is actual breakdown of public order and safety. Now, it's not commission offense. I listen to the chairman of APC. It's possible that the governor has acted illegally. It's possible that if people have acted even criminal acts like maybe killing, maybe damaging property, maybe all those are
still... A policeman is said to have lost his life, unfortunately.
So those can be processed within the existing legal process. So, for example, the inspector of police is still everywhere. Police can arrest, prosecute. So you don't declare state of emergency because of wanton criminality. You only declare it when public order and safety is no longer guaranteed. Meaning,
are things not
that's safety
towards that?
See, these are political desperation on the part of both parties. These are political miscalculations and some level of criminality. Just like, for example, if some criminals invade Abuja, for example, and maybe start burning places, maybe kill a few people, that does not constitute collapse of public safety. What that means that the state power can no longer protect public peace. They cannot deal with criminals, they can't arrest them, they will be overwhelmed. The president triggers, and it says extraordinary, where no other solution but an extraordinary measure to protect, again, use the language, to protect peace and security. So you can't argue that Rivers State has lost peace. People are doing transactions. If you, let's assume, criminals, goes to lock up a place, the police are taking control of this territory, they have chased away maybe the incumbents who are now expired. None of this constitute breach of peace of any dimension.
To the extent of calling for a state of emergency.
There may be commission of crime that
On the other hand, too, there are those who are saying the National Assembly should actually take up the activities of the Rivers State Assembly.
I think that's a reasonable proposition for two reasons. One, if 27 members, including the speaker then, expert speaker, are now deemed awaiting final judicial declaration or otherwise, are no longer to have lost their membership of the House.
Right.
And only 3 members are there. Those 3 members cannot constitutionally exercise the power of representation and lawmaking in Rivers State. So I think this needs to happen. First, INEC could step in. And that's the problem with legal system in Nigeria. This should have been a matter of urgency to take to the Supreme Court and have a finality. Right. The status of this 27. And quickly, INEC steps in to conduct election to replace them if the court says they are now, out. If you don't do that, the National Assembly should immediately step in on a holding position to, legislate for the state, because those are part of the things that the Constitution anticipates. You have a clear crisis where 3 people cannot make laws for the state.
And that's a good place to...
absolutely.
That's a good place to leave it. Dr. Sam Amadi, lawyer and Arise News analyst, thank you so much for helping us understand these issues.